of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. I mean, he would never. He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right. That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because my brother said it was cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing to say. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay. How is everybody? I want to thank you all for the birthday wishes. Happy birthday wishes. Wow. It was a great birthday. And we partied like it was 1999 on Kick last night till 11 something Eastern time. I was on there. And we watched a lot of different stuff. Oscar Pistorius trial. We watched some of that. Some Dalia DiPolito. Some Madness and Motive, his 3D timeline in this case. And that's what we're talking about today. This is my series, The Worst of Wendi Adelson. And we're starting out looking at her police interrogation. Isn't it odd? And one astute commenter, my audience, said, you really have to watch this multiple times to fully get how odd the discrepancies and the oddities. It's more like the oddities in what she's saying. And her odd remarks. At 1 minute, she's saying to the victim's advocate, Sarah, that they could be twins or they look alike. They have the same skirt. She apologizes for not being more entertaining. She's usually more entertaining, as if it's her job to put on a performance for the investigator and the victim's advocate. Why? And it makes me think back to Donna's email. You're a good actress. You're going to need to put on a performance. I don't think that Charlie and Donna were prepared for Wendi to drive by the crime scene. I don't think that was part of the plan. And if it was part of the plan, it went terribly wrong. So we're going to talk about that today. Continue looking at the interrogation video. But before I get into that, your comments. How is it possible, Emma Shoe Smith 8161 says, how is it possible that Wendi didn't at least ask how her boys were? Were they okay after being informed of the shooting? Her friend on voicemail said there had been a shooting on Trescott. The detective comes back in and she doesn't prompt him by asking in a panic, "I've just heard there's been a shooting on Trescott Drive. Are my boys okay? What's going on?" She doesn't ask any questions. Emma, really good comment. No, she sits there with her BS fake crying. Come on already. Arrest this wretched woman. Send the boys to the Markels and start on Harvey ASAP. I don't care that he's elderly, just as culpable as the rest of the Adelson family. What's the delay? This woman needs to be placed in a jail cell, and have the key thrown away. Well, thank you so much, Emma Shoesmith. I agree with you. And I do believe I got a few questions about Sigfredo Garcia and the so-called almost altercation. How would you describe it? The attempted confrontation of Charlie Adelson when Sigfredo Garcia had his children with him and he went to confront Charlie, never said anything to him before, just started with a personal confrontation. I find that very weird. And right after that, he phones Harvey Adelson at home. So I believe that story is a made-up story to justify why Sigfredo Garcia made a call to Harvey Adelson at home. Otherwise, I don't believe he tried to call Charlie and somehow couldn't reach him. That seems a little odd that he called Harvey at home. I don't know. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. One windy old bird says, Isom called it a last-minute lunch date. It seems like his let's just get over this hump was moving past nonsense. In Ruth's book, she spoke of Wendi calling the life insurance company multiple times to figure out the beneficiaries. Exactly, one windy old bird. And she did that very soon after his death. It was like 1 or 2 days after the shooting, if I'm remembering correctly. But Dan had already changed this from Wendi to his sister, Shelley, as trustee. Exactly. Great comment. People forget that. But there she is on the stand saying, oh, I had no interest in it. I didn't get anything. And when her interest was very much what she was going to get. Politically incorrect. 5802 says, regarding the video, she had an ugly divorce. It's an ongoing fight. She is losing after abandoning the house and taking the children without a word during his absence on a professional trip. Hysterically crying is not the right emotion. It would be the last thing she could feel, especially after discussing fashion trends with the inexperienced victim advocate, in my opinion. Very funny, politically incorrect. She was saying to Sarah, the victim's advocate, we have the same skirt. Don't our faces look alike? It's very much a seduction. And as I've explained before, I think Wendi, Donna, and Charlie all suffer from anti-personality disorder. otherwise known as psychopathy or psychopathy or sociopathy. I don't know how. There's so many different lines of thinking, whether they're the same or there's a difference. But that's what I'm talking about. And they don't really have a sexuality. It's really all about power and control for them, sex. So Wendi, I think, is really seducing Sarah, the victim's advocate, in her own police interview. It's bizarre. And she certainly had that kind of intense devotion that you get with a love relationship from people like Tova Walsh. It's very interesting. So before I get into, I want to thank Katrina Hetherington, gifted 5. Wow, 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Katrina. And Lila, congratulations. You are now have access to, I believe, the banana bread emoji. Welcome. You are now a member, Lila. Welcome. So let's get into it, shall we? Please hold. Let me just...
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. I got to get a form for you to sign, and then I'm going to get the phone started. Okay?
Oh my God. I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had 2 of them up there for a last-minute lunch date, right?
Last minute?
Well, I mean, you went up there. You're sitting with them. You have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well, and I'm
Okay.
so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
I don't know.
Isn't it interesting that what she's coming up with is, I'm the person that benefits from this the most. Someone could do this. She immediately connects it to the problems she had with Dan regarding, she didn't really go into fully, but let us review. Dan was asking the courts to censure her law license. It could have threatened her whole career as teaching law or practicing law. He was asking the courts for supervised visitations for Donna, Wendi's mother, because he claimed he was a victim of parental alienation. Donna was telling his children, her grandchildren, that Dan Markel was so stupid. Abba's stupid. That's the Hebrew word for father. Abba's stupid, which is such an odd thing. But all the things that Dan Markel was, stupid isn't something you hear ever, except from the Adelson family. Steno Queen. Roberta, your insight into this family is spot on. I report trials for a living, but I'm driving up to see some of this trial. Do you mean Donna's trial? Oh, I'm driving up to see some of this trial, and I love how much you make me laugh. Oh, I'm so glad I make you laugh. That is a really specialized skill, court reporters, meaning stenographers, have, like Steno Queen. I've said this before, but I'll say it again for those that didn't hear. There's a huge dropout rate in schools, court reporting school. Very few people can do what Steno Queen does. It's a very specialized talent. And in New York, we have a huge shortage for stenographers. So I'd love to, if you feel like it, drop me an email, Steno Queen. My email address is in the About section of this channel. But thank you very much.
That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. I mean, he would never.
How often do we hear that in true crime stories? I never thought this person was capable of it. They would never do it. They're so good with animals. We hear that a lot. They could never do this. So spare me this person isn't capable of doing this defense. Because I've just seen it be debunked too many times. But this is the really famous part, one of them, of this police interview. And many people think Wendi is ready to throw Charlie under the bus. And I'll tell you why I disagree with that. Because to throw Charlie under the bus is to also throw Wendi under the bus and her mother Donna under the bus. Because who would know Dan's schedule? If this was really investigated without the Adelsons' money and power influence, which we know came into play and delayed everything. So the state's attorney, which is really the same thing as saying district attorney, but they call it state's attorney, did not want the Adelsons prosecuted, wanted to stop with Katie. So meaning the poor people that were paid to do this all go to prison while the rich people who masterminded it all just walk free. Under a cloud of suspicion, but they're like Wendi is right now, but walk free. And wouldn't that have been awful? What an awful message that would have sent. So I don't think Wendi would throw her brother under the bus, because how would Dan have gotten her schedule? How would the shooters have gotten Dan's schedule? Excuse me. I mean, I guess you could say from Wendi to Donna, but that's an awful stretch. And we know that she was talking about, in this, she said she knew exactly when he was getting out of the gym. And that is where he was followed by the shooters. So I think she throws out Charlie's name to look innocent, like it's an innocence. I made this stupid joke and now I feel so guilty. It sounds like something an innocent person would say. I think if this were a piece of filmmaking played by a professional actress and scripted, we would call this Wendi's truthful-ish or truthful-like, or trying to simulate what a truthful person does in a police interrogation. That's what I would call it. Steno Queen is now a member. Steno Queen. That's what I hear in my head, Dancing Queen. But I would love to get a bunch of court reporters together, maybe like do a roundtable thing. If you're down, Steno Queen, get in touch with me. I don't think you guys see everything. And it would be really interesting.
He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right. That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because brother said it was cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing to say. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But even my family, who felt like I had been mistreated, would never do something like this. Never.
Well, you guys have been divorced for over a year. Has there been any type of abuse in that time?
Of him towards me?
Yeah.
No. It's, he's litigious, and we have an ongoing case because the house, it shouldn't be in my name anymore, but when we settled the case of our divorce, he said, one of the agreements the court said was, Danny wanted to stay in the house. They said, you can have the house, but you need to pay her half of the amount of what the house is worth. And he agreed to it, and then months passed, and he just never paid me. Okay. And so we have ongoing litigation where I filed a motion in the court to have him pay me what he said he would, and he filed a counter motion for sanctions against my attorney because he thought that she did something wrong, which she didn't.
I love these vague claims of Wendi. He thought Jeffrey Lacoste was just terribly jealous and out of his mind. He thought I was cheating, but I wasn't. He thought that my lawyer and I did something wrong. And I have my understanding of those filings is that she said she had no jewelry and lied about the cash that she had. So any court looking at that is going to go, yeah. It's going to say, yeah, you're right, Dan Markel. So many people have said, and I agree with them, that yes, part of the motivation was to relocate to Miami. But the more pressing motivation was to make these court filings go away. It could have ruined her reputation forever. And you know how hard they practice law, how long it takes to get a law license. And to have that all taken away, you know how hard law school is. So, and Donna didn't want to tell her friends, oh, I'm going for my supervised visitation. Yeah, I have another one of my court supervised visitations. Yes, because my ex-son-in-law says that I am contributing to, it's called parental alienation. That's what it's called. They accused me, moi, the fancy lady, of saying horrible things. I didn't say any of those things. It's a fantasy. But here I go with my court-appointed supervisor to hang out with my grandchildren. That would have gone over really well with the snippety-snoo women of Miami. Can you imagine? It would have been absolutely devastating for Donna. Oh, it's Miss Lisa. Thank you so much for the super sticker. If you're not subscribed to It's Miss Lisa's channel with her great shorts on this case, you're missing out. Highly recommend it. Order in the court. A burner phone with Dan's head pick shot made Wendi Adelson vomit. Interesting theory. Order in the court. And thank you for the super chat. Interesting. So obviously something very pointed about Dan's murder was said to Wendi. I mean, use your brain. What else could make her vomit?
But so, I mean, she withdrew from the case and was going to serve as a witness. So she's not going to lash out at him for it. She's using the legal process to do it. My parents are, very angry towards him. But even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father. They're really, really careful about that. They just like him, but they know he's the father of my kids. They would never do that.
Right.
I don't know who would be angry enough with him.
Well, that's what I have to find out.
To do something like this.
The brother that you're real close to, I have to do a lot of elimination at the same time.
So when she asks who would be angry enough, all I see is everyone in my audience raising their hand going, I know the answer, Wendi. Your family. That's what I see in my head when she asks who would be angry enough to do this. I see all of your hands shooting in the air. Oh, pick on me. I know the answer. Starts with an A, ends with an N or an S, depending on whether it's the singular or plural, but I think it's the plural in this case. All of you, except Robert, of course, somehow didn't get this horrible gene. Thank you so much. LadyLex is a member. Thanks, lady. Great name.
The brother that you're really close to, the one that joked about the TV and everything, what'd you say his name was?
Charlie.
Charlie, and he's in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what kind of car he has.
He has like 5 cars.
Can't tell me all of them.
He drives I think one of them is an unmarked police car.
Oh, really?
He's a bit of a character.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's driving at the time.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he's a periodontist, and he has this practice where he works from early in the morning till late at night. So if you ever wanted to find his whereabouts, he's working all day long until early in the morning till late at night. Always driving to a different office, working.
Oh, he goes to different offices?
Yeah, he works in different offices all over South Florida and does implants for people. And he works really hard all the time. He has a girlfriend, so he's pretty much...
He has a girlfriend. He's pretty much a stand up, contributing to society, stand up kind of guy. Way too busy. And this actually became part of Charlie Adelson's defense, that he was too busy to commit this murder. Too busy. Jill Jane, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate it so much. Really allows me to do these live streams.
much accounted for all the
Charlie,
time.
was that his first name?
Charlie's his first name.
Not Charles?
I think Charles is his legal name. No one calls him that.
What's his last name?
Adelson.
What's his middle?
J-A-Y.
Same spelling, A-D-E-L-S-O-N.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What?
What? Oh my gosh.
What?
I can't believe this is happening.
Okay, all right. Let me go get the form for the phone.
Do I need to be read my Miranda rights or something if you're gonna look at my phone?
I can read you Miranda if you want to hear that.
I don't know, I'm just trying to make sure I'm being
I have no
protected.
reason at this point to suspect you in this incident, okay?
I couldn't tell from the way you were talking to me in the car if I was a suspect.
Well, no, and the reason was I didn't want to get into everything until we got up here.
Is he still in the hospital?
He's at the hospital, yes. Yes.
And he's alone.
Yes.
And nobody knows he's there.
Well, you know now, and while I'm going to get this phone taken care of, I'm going to have a victim advocate come in here, and hopefully you can supply her with his parents.
Oh my God.
I'm assuming his parents would be his next of kin.
He's a sister he's really close with.
Where is she?
They're all in Canada. He's Canadian.
Okay. All right, they live in Canada.
They all live in Canada.
Okay.
His family's all in Canada.
Okay.
They're gonna think I did it.
No, now, just don't jump to conclusions on that.
Oh my God.
Yes, Wendy, they're going to think you did it. Because that's the reasonable, logical conclusion once all the facts came out. That there was no way that this could be done for you without your knowledge. Because for one, they need, Dan's schedule intimately. And that had to be given to the shooters. And this would not be done without your okay. This is the father of your children. And your demeanor makes no sense. And your movements make no sense on this day. And the only way that they make sense is in context to your involvement. What are we talking about here? I love when people go, oh, I don't think she knew. This is like the same thing they used to say about Claire Bronfman, who was the funder of the NXIVM cult when I was covering that trial from the courtroom. Oh, no, I would sit next to journalists at big time outlets, and they would sit there and lecture me about how Claire Bronfman didn't know anything. And this is even more absurd. She was only funding everything, right? She didn't know anything, and any of the nefarious going on of the cult. And with Wendi, the whole family was like, oh, we're going to do it as a surprise gift. Oh, you didn't want that? You didn't want that to happen? Whoops. My bad. Us bad. What do you say? What do you say to that? Oh, you'll find another one? What are people thinking? The person that benefits the most is not the person who's left out in the dark. When does that really happen? And I'm not talking about movies or plays or something else, but when have you seen that happen in real life? Try never. Try never. And isn't it interesting that Wendi immediately thinks of her own self and her own image? Really, what she means to say is the parents are going to know I did this and my family did this. That's what she's really saying.
God, I can't believe this is happening.
All right, let me go get the form for the phone, okay?
Oh my God.
Sorry, you okay?
Yeah. No.
I meant to like.
It's fine. Our last interaction wasn't nice.
Well, you're talking about personal.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted to have them. And I talked over with my brother and realized, if their dad wants to take them swimming, it's not worth getting upset over. He sent me that message at 9:15 this morning.
You were telling me before, when we were riding up here, that the agreement was that you're all going to have some type of phone call at 11:15 this morning. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly, just that we needed
Okay.
to have the talk at some point before, we have to decide before Monday of what to do about his school, where Ben's gonna go to school, and he said, I'm gonna be done. I thought it was 11:15, but when we listened to the message, it was 10:30.
Okay.
When he said, I'm gonna be out of, he went to like a workout class at the gym. He
At
said,
Premier.
At Premier.
Mhm.
He said, I'm gonna be out of it by such and such a time, you can call me then. And I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him, well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants to make sure the job's done. It's not, she's got to drive by the scene. She cannot wait for this to happen. But at the same time, I believe she's grieving her old life. No matter how much you hate it, it's still what you're used to. I think she's using some of those sad feelings, if she has them, she can really connect to them. Those superficial sad feelings. Like, oh, I'll miss that bagel. Like, they make a great bagel over here on whatever in Tallahassee. I'll miss that. And boy, wait till you see her friend Lynn. Oh, she's a piece of work. But STS, let me see if I can pull this up. I might have to pull down. Let's see if this works over the... Yeah, it does. Okay, good. So Surviving the Survivor podcast put this up on their Twitter. Wendi, strolling on the Miami beach 1 week ago, not a worry in the world or an endless stream of concerns. But hard to know if this is really Wendi. How did they know this was Wendi? It brought up a lot of questions. People said, oh, you can't tell. I mean, you can't tell from the picture who it is. But I'm curious who took it and how they knew it was Wendi. But she's in full disguise. I mean, sunglasses, hat, everything, but still getting photographed? Odd. I don't know. A lot of people said that's not Wendi. A lot of people had more questions. I'm one of the people that has more questions from that. Who took it and how did they know?
The repair guy was there, and honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in. He left me a message. I called him at 11:42 and left him a message, just saying, okay, I want to talk about school for Ben, and I assume I'll see you at 4:30 today. When I figured he's going to take the kids swimming,
Right.
and he'll drop them at the house at 4:30.
Okay. So in other words, the whole meeting at 10:30 or 11:15
Just
didn't
didn't
happen.
happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Let me get this. There's a lot of information on here. Okay. It'd probably be easier if I read it to you.
Fine.
Okay. I, Wendi Adelson, and I got to change
It's
this.
Adelson.
I know I got to change that.
It's okay. It's Adelson.
Actually, it's spelled right. I said it wrong.
My understanding is that she enrolled Ben, but maybe it was her other son, in a school in Tallahassee without really consulting Dan Markel. And that's who he was on the phone with when he got shot. Is that Do I have that correct? But what would be the point of her enrolling one of her kids in a school if she knew this was going to happen? And it seems like that would be part of her alibi, right? Why would I be enrolling my kid in a school in this area if I knew I would be moving to Miami in 2 days because of this family tragedy? I'm just putting it in her kind of phrasing, Wendi Adelson kind of phrasing. Doesn't that seem to be the purpose of that?
Delson. Do hereby authorize and give my permission to investigate Adelson, who has identified himself to me as a law enforcement officer with necessary assistance of a digital forensic examiner to make a full and complete search of my cell phone or other digital media, along with data located on additional data sources, locations such as connected to, at, and were at the Tallahassee Police Department. That's the address. I have been advised that law enforcement are engaged in investigation concerning an alleged violation of federal or state law pertaining to a shooting incident. I do further authorize to give permission to take from my cell phone located at 230 47th Avenue.
I'm sorry, is that the police station?
That's where we're at right
Okay.
now. Yeah. Computers, cell phones, computer peripherals, digital media data, which may or may not have a connection, value, or relevance as evidence in said investigation. The above law enforcement officer has fully and fairly advised me on rights as follows. I have the right to refuse consent of the search of my property. I have the right to consult with an attorney or any other person of my choice prior to giving them consent and permission to search the above described property. Any cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media or data, along with any data located on.
But hear me out. Okay, so people are saying that I'm correct. She did enroll. She put him in for a lottery, C Love says, and her child got that without telling Danny. Is that correct? So Danny was on the phone finding out more about the school when he was shot, is what other people are saying. Do we have that story correct? Yep. Okay. So wouldn't that further her alibi, though? That why would I be enrolling my kid in this school? Are you with me? Because this murder was planned, was in the works for a long time. So wouldn't that further? So I would have the dual purpose to further keep Dan Markel off kilter, agitate him, and make it look like she had no desire to move out of Tallahassee. She was making roots. Remember when she testified that she was still not settled in Miami when she lived there for 5 years? She was still considering her options. So I was saying on Kick last night, I've lived in New York 3 decades, but I'm still just passing through. I'm still experimenting. I'm still not sure whether I live here or not. I could leave any minute. Ridiculous. Your lies are so ridiculous, aren't they?
On these items or on additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, found by said officers in the course of their search, can be used as evidence against me or others in a court of law. I fully understand and appreciate these rights and wish it be specifically understood that I'm hereby giving consent permission to conduct the search of the cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media data, along with any data located on any additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, solely because of my desire to freely and voluntarily cooperate and assist in this investigation. I have not been promised anything or been threatened or coerced in any way, nor has any inducement of any kind been held out to me in return for this consent and permission to search. Okay. Can I have your phone now?
Yeah. Stupid question, but
go ahead.
are you gonna give it back?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I feel like I need to help
No,
my
you're gonna
family.
get-
What's going on?
No, you're gonna get it back. It's just I'm trying to expedite this now so I can get it back to you sooner.
I understand.
Be right back.
So Dr. Zap. Is it Dr. Zap? Excuse me, it's Dr. Sapp, S-A-P-P. Oh, thank you. Dr. Zap. It makes me laugh every time. Writes, Dr. Zap writes, Wendi drove down Trescott because she had a premonition a tree fell down. Because it hadn't been rainy or windy the night before at all. Funny. She was just seeing how the CPR on the tree was going. Aren't her stories ridiculous? And that kind of, so if the court ordered, I'm sorry, I forgot who commented, but someone just commented that the court ordered that both the parents decide on the schooling. And that's just like how, if that is true, that is just how Wendi likes to operate. The kind of, you can't say anything, I'll lie under full immunity, under oath, on the stand as a lawyer, officer of the court, and you can't do anything about it. You need my testimony, Georgia Kappelman. Try to really challenge me on all these lies. Come at me. The same thing with telling Jeffrey Lacasse that my brother looked into hiring a hitman last summer for $15,000 or $50,000. So when it actually happens, Jeffrey Lacasse was supposed to be the patsy as the number one suspect. When he says, oh, it was Wendi told me she said this and that, he'll look like a madman. She loved that kind of stuff. I'll do all this stuff. I'll do yet another action that defies the court order. And now you can't do anything about it. And it's a great alibi for me. And it agitates Dan Markel. It's like a trifecta win there. Agitates Dan Markel, great alibi for me, and I get to defy a court order. Again, blatantly.
Okay, Wendi. Let me get your...
That's the friend I was with calling. Do you want to just decline it? I guess I should talk to anyone right now.
Yeah.
Is there someone I can talk to about what to tell my kids?
Yes, we're going to get to that. Give me your phone number on this phone again.
954-803-0079.
Can I get Daniel's cell phone number?
202-276-8200.
202-276-8200. Okay. Do you know his passcode to unlock his phone?
I don't.
You don't know it?
I don't have a passcode. When I was with him, he didn't have the kind of phone that needed a passcode.
Okay.
But he's gotten an iPhone since then, so
Yeah.
he may have one. And I can't.
It's ironic, says Seinfeld playing the banana bread Nazi, not soup. I was just by that soup Nazis yesterday. I was just right by there yesterday. It's funny. It's ironic. So yeah, Can you imagine? I mean, I just cannot imagine Donna, what Donna was thinking with that, where that was going to go. But where that was going to go was Dan Markel was going to get so concerned that he was having such little influence on his children that he would run to Miami. He would agree immediately to relocate to Miami to have some influence on in his children's lives. But instead, he trusted the courts to work it out. And the Adelsons, they believe they were the courts. They are the law. Scary family. Really out of a horror movie or something.
Remember, like, actually, I remember his passcode to something, but it was like a word in Hebrew with the word one, so it's a word and not numbers. I could give you my children's birthdays in case you want to try that. I really have no idea what it would be.
Okay, let's go ahead with the children's birthdays.
So Ben is 7/29.
So this is Shivani really is hitting the nail on the head, and this is what makes this so obviously fake, is the way Wendy's breath and crying spells end on a dime, and she can talk in full voice. And if you've ever had a kind of uncontrollable crying episode, or even just a crying episode, it's really hard to talk because your breath is the first thing that gets uneven, and your breath supports your voice. So here she is talking full voice, perfectly fine, and then trying to emulate or simulate the uneven, upset, cry breathing thing. The minute later, so Shivani says, what's startling is how swiftly and automatically Wendy's weep fest, great way to put it, Shivani, arises and vanishes. It's like, have you ever seen an actor who puts on an accent and they can't quite master it? So it comes and goes like the wind in the movie. In one scene, it's fully on, and the next. I think if you've seen Star Wars, Carrie Fisher, her English accent comes and goes with the wind in that. Same thing here. Wendy's weeping spells come and go like the wind, depending on whether she has to give information or not. But if you're really so upset, you couldn't give that.
It could be like 0729.
What year?
2009. Lincoln is 10/13/2010. They're 14 months apart.
10/13 of 10?
Yeah. I was complaining about him at the lunch.
Sorry. I'll be right back. Go ahead, check. Okay, they're going to take your phone, they're going to hook it up to a machine, download the information. It doesn't take a whole lot unless you got a lot of.
Very interesting comment, Barb. Neumann, thank you for the super chat. Wendy's stories show her very arrested emotional development. And excuse me, hold on. And you see that with Charlie too. Very teenager-ish. Very interesting comment, Barb. Show her very arrested emotional development. Total lack of sophistication. And total lack of understanding of and total lack of empathy too. Who would think their children would do better without a father? But the Adelson family, if you read Donna's emails, she's saying they would have so many more advantages to be near the star Adelson family, the family everyone wants to be, the family that's worked so hard to have this perfect image. Image is everything for this family. And behind the scenes, they're teasing mercilessly the eldest son for being moral, for doing the right thing. And congratulating and laughing along with Charlie Adelson doing the immoral thing, lying to get out of a speeding ticket, saying he's an ER doctor saving lives when he's he's rushing to put on some more implants and to make some more money. And all his other schemes, let's not even get into that today, but he had a zillion of them, it seems. With Ryan Fitzpatrick being his employee on his side hustle, buying people's lawsuits, civil suits, and paying them out. Or paying them a portion and then waiting. Oh God, it's a whole thing.
Stuff on there.
I don't know what's on there. I have to use the bathroom.
Okay, no problem.
Is there?
Yep.
Is it close by?
Yeah, it's real close by. Okay, you can leave your stuff there. It's not going anywhere, and I'll put you right around the corner here. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want some water after that?
Okay. Seriously?
So my question is if Wendi took a secret hidden microphone like Robert Durst had on him when she went to the bathroom, would we hear something similar to Robert Durst? I just have to make it through a couple more hours. You can do it, Wendi. In the mirror, you're the actress. You're the star. You can convince them. And is she like, is she practicing her fake crying? That's good. That's good. More of that. More chest. More chest. Is she directing herself in the mirror? What did I do? My whole family was behind the whole murder, of course, but he'll never know. I just have to get out of here. Then I can never talk to him again. I'll get my lawyer to call like they did John Lauro and say the Adelsons aren't cooperating. Sure, it looks sus, but that's Wendi's favorite style of behavior. Sure, it looks sus, but you can't say anything. Really, you can say something, but it doesn't touch me. I'm untouchable. I like to dance along the edge. Danger. Count it all joy. Happy birthday. Thank you. You do a great job of circling back on Wendi's stints behavior and drawing out the sus aspects. You are so right about the level of exhaustion she must have experienced after hours of method acting. Yeah. This must have been not for nothing, but I can imagine it must have been terrifying. And she asked repeatedly, are you going to read me my Miranda rights? Am I a suspect? She shows her hand a little, saying, I knew in the car before she even knew what happened. Sure, she heard from her realtor, but she hadn't listened to that yet. Aren't we made to believe that the first time she hears that is right before Craig Isom, the detective, walks in? So she couldn't have known. I couldn't tell by the way you were looking at me in the car if I was a suspect. Why would she think this had anything to do with the suspect? She thought tree had fallen down and she didn't know what this was about. Something had happened on her former street where her ex-husband lived. But she couldn't have known. She said it didn't bother her. She didn't think of anything when she saw the crime scene tape and the police. Thank you, Count It All, Joy.
Okay, I'll hold it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We just have to eliminate everything, okay? You know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect. I can't
No,
really
you're not a
remember.
suspect. I don't consider you a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I'm not read you Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are the closest thing.
I think she might have been prepared to have her Miranda rights read. Wouldn't you think that her phone is all cleaned up and her computer, because she doesn't want it back? Be really interesting to know if she bought a backup computer around this time or if she was waiting to go to Miami to get that done. But most people who hand in their computer or their phone, they can't wait to get it back. Because think about how much you need those things in this day and age, even back in 2014. They're essential, but not Wendi, because she would just be grieving for so long. She planned on grieving for the ex-husband she couldn't stand for the next couple weeks. Sounds plausible, right?
To family that I have to Daniel right now, okay? You are.
I'm so sad for. I
So
was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes. We have week on, week off, but on Wednesdays we do an overnight.
right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds of plans like for next week that
Oh,
were.
you're saying he would not hurt himself?
No,
Okay, all right.
it wasn't him.
Okay. He has no reason to hurt himself or anything along that.
No, I mean, I
Okay.
can see him being really sad when we first got divorced.
Right.
But now he's got Amy and he loves those boys.
Okay.
And things were really good for him. There's no way he did this to himself.
Okay. I believe you.
Which really scares me because it means there's someone out there that's willing to do this to him, and I'm scared for the kids.
Okay. I understand
And they're
you're.
at school right now, and I want to.
There's an officer at the school.
Okay.
The kids are fine.
Okay.
Okay, there's no. The
I don't
kids
know.
are.
I'm gonna tell them.
Well, we're gonna help you with that. Okay? But here's what I have to do right now, and I'm just trying to.
I find that so weird and so narcissistic. I don't know how I'm going to tell my kids, but if I keep talking like this, maybe you'll think I'm upset. And then maybe if I add a little heavy breathing in, you'll really think I'm upset. But what? Now, I'm not a mother, but I would think you would be thinking, how are my kids going to make it through this? Not how am I going to tell them? How am I going to tell them? How are my kids going to be able to ever be right with this tragedy? How are they going to live without a father? But that never seems to really come up. It's all sort of philosophical ideas about death she's talking about. She's telling odd stories about how one of her kids said God is dead. Like he's a philosopher now. Very odd. Very odd. Wouldn't you be worried about how your kids are going to survive this and ever be right? But for the Adelson family planning this was going to be a benefit to them, a boost. They could have nothing but the Adelson influence, nothing but the good side influencing them. And gone was the, quote, religious zealot, unquote. Just the stupid father was out of the picture. But unfortunately, her children had developed a little attachment to the religious zealot, but that's neither here nor there. Really, the main thing, the main worry is how is Wendi Adelson going to tell her kids? Meaning, if anybody's watching, am I going to be judged? Am I going to be using the right words? Tell me what to say so I don't look sus.
I want to get this down, Pat. I know you don't have your phone to refer to,
Okay.
but that's okay.
You'll have all that information.
Right, because I'll check that against what you tell me.
Okay.
Your last phone conversation, your last personal contact, in other words, in person with Daniel, was when?
He goes by Danny.
Danny, okay.
No one calls him Daniel.
Yes, I don't know him, so I'm sorry.
I'm just telling you
Danny.
so that it just feels really impersonal. My last face-to-face contact with him, wow. We do a lot of like leave-off pickup at the school, right? Where one of us will take the kids to school and the other one picks them up. When was the last time I saw him? I definitely saw him when I picked the kids up. I feel like there's something since then, but that would have been.
No, I'm on the way. I'm not familiar with the.
Okay, I'll get Annie because she wanted it before. Yeah.
And that was that morning I drove down, so that was June 30th,
Okay.
whatever that Monday morning was that we drove down to Miami. I saw him, I met Amy. Then we did a lot of Skype, like we'd Skype every day while I was gone. But that's not in person. I came back with my parents. We drove back all together, and then that Friday, which would have been last Friday, a week from today, so if today's the 18th, it was Friday the 11th, that's my other brother's birthday, and I would have seen him, but I had been with the kids for like 12 days straight, and I was getting really sad at the idea of drop off of Danny coming to pick him up, and so my folks said, you know what, why don't you just, so at about 4:45, I just went over a friend's house. I didn't see him that day, and then he had the kids, and I got.
This is such a weird story, and it sticks in my head so much. And I don't know if this is a true story or a made-up story, but take a listen to this part.
Some sort of laryngitis, and I was alone all weekend, so that was Saturday, Sunday, and then this week I missed the kids, so I visited them at school on Monday and Tuesday.
They were staying with Danny?
They were with Danny that whole time, but Danny and I had started on days when we really missed the kids. We'd go have like lunch with them or breakfast with them, so I went and had lunch with them or read them a story. I saw them Monday, I saw them Tuesday. Wednesday was my overnight, and so that was Wednesday, and then he had them Thursday, was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I had face-to-face contact with him.
Was?
June 30th.
June 30th, okay. And then yesterday, y'all were conversing on text about this phone call, or about this discussion for Ben.
On email, I think,
Okay.
about, we'd both spoken with an administrator at the school, and so yesterday morning I emailed him and said, I'd really love for him to go to this school. I think we should accept it. Here's why. And then I asked him a second question about Ben's birthday coming up, because I didn't have Ben on his birthday, and he wanted this Lego thing, and I wanted to make sure that no one else got it for him. So I asked him if he was going to do a party for Ben, so I knew ahead of time whether people would be bringing presents or whatever, and so I knew whether he would have gotten it from someone else or whether I should buy it for him. And he wrote back and said, when your voice feels better, let's talk, because my throat was really hurting. He said, let's talk, we need to work this out for Monday. And I sent him an email, you'll see.
So just an odd thing. So she can't talk because her voice hurt. She had laryngitis, guys. Her voice was really, really, really under the weather. She can't talk. But don't you think that another possible explanation for that could be that she couldn't face Danny, knowing what his fate was, knowing what was going to happen to him? That was Wendi avoiding the reality. So she just wanted it to happen, and like she didn't know anything about it and she wasn't close to it, distancing herself. Not that she had any feelings of guilt, but it was just sort of unpleasant to have this unpleasant thing that was going to happen in the future being put in her face. It's much better to pretend like it's not happening and not talk to him. Just a thought. Let me know what you think.
Sometime this morning while I was home working on my paper that said, okay, I'm ready to talk whenever you are. I don't know what time I sent it, but if I called him at 11:40, it was either before I called him, because I thought normally he would have called.
Okay.
Like when he said I'm done with the class at 10:30, and I had said, okay, let's talk, and then sent him a call or an email, like, I thought it was weird I hadn't heard from him, but I just thought, like, well, maybe he's busy with something or showering. Or...
But he told you at some point that he was going to premiere this morning.
Yeah, no, that phone message says, I'm going to premiere, I'll be out 10:15, 10:30, and so you can call me after that.
When did you receive that phone message?
Maybe after the repair guy left, so maybe at like, this morning, like at 11-ish or something.
Okay. All right, so you're at your house with the repairman, he leaves, you go back to working on your papers, and then you leave your house around noon, drive down, Trescott's blocked, you turn around, you go back around on Benton, and then you go to
There's a tree.
Right. Pardon?
I thought it was like a tree that fell down or something.
Right. So.
I didn't even think, like, that's the house. I saw a few houses blocked off, and I'm sorry, I wish.
I thought it was a tree, and I was saying that poor tree when I was making that K-turn and driving away from the scene at breakneck speed. Oh, she's so infuriating. It's hard, but don't you think, just another thought as I'm watching this, isn't it interesting that her telling the TV joke and her driving down Trescott and just thinking it was a tree and mistaking for someone, let's just pretend this is another case, okay? In a different reality where the Adelsons had no involvement, okay? Wouldn't you feel sorry for Wendi for making those jokes, for driving down Trescott, for thinking it's a tree? Wouldn't you say, if you didn't know Wendi's character, oh, poor Wendi, she has to live with that for the rest of her life, the guilt that maybe she could have stopped it or helped Dan in his last minutes? What do you think? And she'll feel guilt for telling that TV repair joke her whole life. Because I'm just thinking back to Jeffrey Lacoste saying, Wendi's so good at making herself the victim. Don't both those things make you the victim? Let me know what you think.
Sorry. No, you're not wasting my time. I think I asked you before, you don't have a number for Amy. You do not have a contact number for her? But you know she's a professor at NYU.
Yeah.
You know that her and Danny have been seeing each other, and that she stayed here from the end of June to the 1st of July. Just
at least
28
2 days maybe. Yeah.
And she met the children.
Yeah, she met a few friends in town too.
And you don't know anything about her ex?
No. I know she was married.
Right. And she has children?
She has a son.
In New York?
In New York.
Okay.
She's a son. I think he's 14.
Okay.
Do
you know how old Amy is?
She's 50.
She's 50?
Yeah. She doesn't look 50. She's very beautiful. But she is, not that you can't be beautiful at 50, but she looks really young. She's very pretty and accomplished. And
you know her date of birth?
I only know that she is 50. I don't, because I was looking her up one time, feeling.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's 50. She goes by Amy Adler.
Her middle initial is M.
M, okay.
So that, like, if you looked her up, oh my God.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that Wendi has over Amy is Wendy's much younger. Boy, does Amy Adler still look great. Boy, what a complete package that woman is. So Amy Adler was Dan Markel's girlfriend when he was murdered. She's the sister of Jonathan Adler, the designer. And strangely, we both went to the same summer camp, but he's older than, I think Jonathan's older than me, too. So I think the point is that Amy can't give Dan children. I think that's sort of the thing. She's older. He's with an older woman. Although I know Dan Markel was older than Wendi. So, but still, it was older than Dan Markel. So she's kind of needling a little bit there. I just know she's old and incredibly accomplished and very popular at NYU, where she teaches law and law around art. And if you want to see her talk, she's on YouTube. Her talks and interviews are on YouTube. And one person, and I'm sorry I can't remember who it is, in one of the victim impact statements I've read on this channel, called Amy Adler Dan Markel's soulmate. That must burn Wendi up. Because no one can ever get over Wendi. Remember? So all these fantasies, so all these patsies are all sort of like Jeffrey Lacasse, people that can't get over Wendi. So jealous, so angry, did this in revenge, right? It's a fantasy. Hey, Jane Worlds, too. And I would argue that, in fact, a tree did fall with the death of Dan Markel. Yeah. That's poetic. Jane, thank you very much for the super chat. I think Jane's working on a compilation of my Donna imitations. That should be interesting.
You looked her up on the law school website, you'd find her that way.
Okay.
Her brother's he's like a famous fashion designer, so I think they spend a lot of weekends like in the Hamptons, and she lives in the city and lives like, good life.
Okay.
Hey, if you guys are interested, so she just mentioned Amy Adler's brother, Jonathan. Jonathan husband or partner, I don't know if they're legally married or not, but they've been together forever, is Simon Denoonan, I think his last name is. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right on that, but he used to do all the windows for this very shishi shop, Barney's in New York. These windows were famous. They were so original and unusual. And there is a video on YouTube of the house that they have around. It may not be the Hamptons, but a vacations area like the Hamptons, if it's not quite the Hamptons or in that area. And it's their house there, their getaway house, and it's incredible. So they're both designing people, if you're interested in seeing that. So she's saying that because Amy's brother is so famous and rich, Dan and Amy have access to his getaway home and stuff. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know. I'll queue that up for tomorrow.
You gave me a name of Matt Price, who's in DC.
That's his best friend.
Is that an attorney?
He's an attorney, yeah. I'm sorry you have to deal with so many lawyers.
That's okay, I'm used to it. I got to deal with the state attorney's office, public defender's office, private attorneys.
The only time I've ever been in this, I represent victims of crime. I represent immigrant victims of crime, so it's the only time I've ever been in this building. Is
okay.
Advocating for my clients.
And the other friend?
The other friend is Josh Berman, also attorney. He's in New York City.
A city attorney for New York?
No, he's private. They're both private.
Okay.
And they were like the historic best friends.
Okay.
From college and law school.
And then of course Alex is up in Cairo.
I know, I'm assuming they're close. I know that he sleeps over at their house a lot with the kids.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because the kids really love to play together or because they're close, but they spend a lot of time together. I'm sure they're close.
All right. Okay.
Danny's pretty religious, so like he'd be connected with like rabbis and stuff in town too.
Okay. All right. Which synagogue does he go to?
He goes to 2. The one he's.
All right. Since you guys are interested in, some people said they were interested in seeing Jonathan Adler home tour in Shelter Island. So yes, a nearby getaway area in New York. I will remove this and we can just take a look at it together. Simon de Noonan, yeah, waterfront refuge in. Oh, I hope the music isn't terrible in this. But wait, hold on. Let me just turn off the music and we can watch some of it. This is their Greenwich Village apartment, and we'll go back. So I'll just narrate this. Simon is on the left and Jonathan Adler, I believe, is on the right there, but huge. Let's see if they turned off the music here.
From the outside, but then you enter paradise, starting with our gravel courtyard, which is kind of genius.
A little mid-century, a little bit of Japan.
Some Big Sur.
Right.
Little Sur.
How dare you?
So Simon's in that. That's Simon de Noonan, the one who did the windows for Barney's. And Jonathan is obviously the other guy.
Been paying attention, you will have noticed that our house is black.
When we painted the house black, the neighbors thought it was kind of ominous, but it's actually anything but.
And the thing that you realize is black looks great with greenery. So you'll see we pack in all the trees around the house and it's a winning combo. And of course, orange. Orange is the new black.
It does all start with the orange door.
Come on in.
Welcome to paradise.
So this is a giant living room in a tiny house.
What is it, like 2,200 square feet? But the living room is kind of the centerpiece of the house, and it's all centered on this giant fire pit. And then we have a bunch of different seating areas sprinkled all around the rooms. I'm often reading here, staring out at the sea. Simon is, where are you?
I'm admiring everything because this room is Jonathan's design canvas.
One of the great things about being a potter who's building a house is that I could make custom tiles. One of my favorite tile walls is the one that's in the living room, which is really cool. There's a really...
That's really funny because my mother's a potter and we have her custom tiles and she has her own custom tiles. She did her own tiles in the kitchen. So you can see lots of quirky stuff, but this is a group of people that Wendi could only dream about, of a really higher status than the Adelsons. So whether it's Amy Adler at NYU teaching a very, very popular class and being a beloved teacher, to her connections, to her beauty, the only thing Wendi has is she's a little younger. So she's going to throw that in, that little bit of snark.
Really great mix of materials in the house, from the slate floor to the cedar ceiling, and a fantastic brick wall that anchors the living room, and it's painted an inky blue. And sitting upon it is one of my favorite elements of the house, the gigantic macrame owl created by Andy Harmon. So we've been talking about the inside of the house, but the real money shot is the outside.
When we designed this room, we thought, great, a huge room for entertaining with seating areas. But even if there wasn't one stick of furniture in here, it wouldn't matter because of this spectacular view.
So there's a ton to see outside, but before we do that, I want you to see more inside. Let me show you more. This is our dining area and kitchen.
Johnny, I made you a cup of tea.
Thank you, Simon. That's the very first time he's ever gotten me anything. Thank you.
Foxy, she knows that's not true.
In the dining room, we have an oval marble Florence Knoll table and 3 fantastic pendants. I love them. They have an incredible patina. And the kitchen island features a mural done by our brilliant artist friend, and he captured what he saw from the view.
Can you imagine? So they're saying, where's the banana bread of the gold banana mini statue that they have on their coffee table? Wouldn't it be funny if they had a banana bread? It's such a quirky house, but look at that view. Whoa. So these people make a bucks. Let's see. Can we just move through this a little bit? I see their kitchen. Pretty cool. All their stuff. I just want to go to a different room. See if they show a different room. Let's see. Oh, wow. We got a rhinoceros. Wouldn't it be great if that were a giraffe? We'd fully have, or an owl. We'd fully have all the odd references in this case, in this house.
Mexican artist. The bed is one of my designs, and the bedspread is a Suzani from Uzbekistan, kind of giving a rich hippie vibe, very loose. At night, I read on the sofa in our bedroom. It's the aspen sofa of my design. In the winter, we light the fire. It's a really dreamy, cozy, and I think chic bedroom.
This is also the room where I retreat from company and I get on with my writing. I'm always working on some book project or something or other. And basically, this is Foxy's room. This bed, it's really her bed.
That dog is pretty cute. So I think you guys get the idea. I mean, is there any other great kind of rooms in here? Let me see. But mega bucks, mega style. Here's the bedspread that I made, and here's the sofa that I also made that you can also buy for $1 zillion in stores. Not all his stuff is super high end. I think he has different deals with different people, stuff he's designed, but he's a pretty big deal in the design world. So I don't think I can take much more of Wendi today. I think I've reached my limit on sniffling and crying. We've been going for an hour and a half. I feel like I might leave it with Foxy the dog today and pick this up tomorrow. What do you guys think? But before I go, let me just... I wanted to read a victim impact letter. Well, before I do, my boyfriend's telling me that I am not up to date on thanking everybody. Thank you, Shoshana 1610 for the super sticker. Oh, I think I missed you, Shoshana. Sorry. Jane, I got yours, but Glenda, thank you. Stark, that Wendi didn't ask for details of what happened to Dan. During this interview, Dan is not actually dead, but she acts as if he is. And then when she finds out he isn't totally dead, she's desperate to bring the children over and traumatize them so she can look like she cares. They're like, no, terrible idea, Wendi. And she's like, but I just, oh, it's so awful. I just can't take much more of that today. I just can't. My apologies. But I will end the way I end most shows. And please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. And leave me a comment in the main comment section. It super helps the channel. And also, this audience is so amazing that I get so many amazing comments that it always keeps me thinking and inspires me. And that's why I like to share the comments. Keeps just to check in with what people are thinking about and what they're observing. Always learn so much from your comments. So this is one I've read before, but it's one of my favorite of the impact statements that were written for Dan Markel, and this was written for Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine McManawa's trial. To the Honorable James C. Hankinson. This was written on September 15th, 2019. I met Danny in the summer of 2005, the year I graduated law school and moved to D.C. to begin a clerkship. It was a strange time for me. No longer a student, but not really anything else. Buffered by aughts, the gnawing need to repay student loans, TikTok, the need to make friends, to find someone, figure out whether this whole law school run had been a waste, excuse me. Sorry, hold on, getting a glare, my computer. A friend from law school, knowing I knew no one in DC, told me I should meet his friend Wendi. I did and enjoyed her company. But it was Danny who took the lead, seemed determined to get me fitted with a life. He hosted me at their apartment for Shabbos dinner and fed me, introduced me to all sorts of prominent professional contacts and to eligible Jewish men. I was a stranger in a strange land, and Danny knew just how such a person should be treated. By opening his home, making them feel cared for, he seemed to believe himself endowed with an outsized set of talents and capacities, and he was. His charge then was to find those in need, share with them what he had. He was the most presumptuously loving person I have ever known. He never asked you if you wanted or needed his advice, interest, or love. He just assumed you did. In my case, he wasn't wrong. In the years that I knew him, there seemed to be almost nothing beyond his power. Right out of a law firm where blogs were just getting going, he started one of the most prominent and popular for law professors, having only just received an academic post himself. He was a consummate and natural host. A few months after I met Danny, he ran into Zach, an undergrad he'd mentored while in law school at a wedding. He harassed Zach by phone to get on a plane from Los Angeles and fly to DC to take me on a date. The plan was audacious and Danny relentless. It was also just the push Zach and I needed. More than 13 years and 3 kids later, I marvel still at the power and reach of Danny's endless capacity for love. But it was a blind spot too, as all strengths are. I have no doubt that what propelled him into marriage so quickly with Wendi was his irrefutable belief that he could fix any problem and answer any challenge. That she didn't seem to share some of his values with regard to religious observance, or even that she seemed reluctant to marry him. She broke off their engagement at one point when we were all still in DC, seemed to him mere kinks to work out, not impediments to a happy married life. On October 9th, 2012, soon after Wendi took the kids and left him, he sent his vast number of close friends an email. He told us that he had come home from a work trip to a ransacked house, that Wendi had left and taken the kids, but he was determined to win her back. He concluded with this: "You all know this, I am sure, but remember, everything wonderful is also and already fragile. Love mightily while you can." It was just like Danny, really, at the bottom of life's oubliette, fretting over what he might impart to the rest of us. I called him soon after receiving the email and opened with, "Just in case it doesn't work out, I've got a girl for you." I thought it would make him laugh, and it did. The irony of my finding Danny someone after he found someone for me. It just so happened that a friend of mine's sister had recently divorced, but then he started to cry. "What's going to become of my boys?" he asked. He said out loud, more to himself or to God than to me. Their connection to Yeshik's Judaism is already attenuated. What's going to become of my beautiful, magical boys? I assured him he was still their father and they would be fine. A great dad is a powerful thing, even after divorce. He would surely remain a primary influence in their lives. What did I know? All deaths are a loss. But I can't help thinking Danny's measures far greater than most. He gave love so generously from such abundant store. He never quit tending his friends, offering his help. Our loss is profound. but his boy's loss is infinite. They would have received the lion's share of all that he was and whatever he had. They don't even know. Sincerely, Abigail Schreier. Okay, that's what I have today. Just a few super chats coming in. Roberta, Jane World 2 says, Roberta, video birthday card now on my YouTube page for your information. I'll check that out. Thank you, Jane World. That's so kind of you. Dr. Zap, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it so much. I just like saying it. Dr. Zap. Dr. Zap. Janet Moorcraft. When Wendi turns on Trescott and sees police tape, why doesn't she ask the cop at tape what's wrong or call Danny or children's school to see if the kids are okay? Janet, you're hitting on really the thing that cements my feeling of guilt for all of the Adelsons. So you'll remember that Robert, the eldest son, was not totally estranged from the family at this time. And he could not stop asking, what happened to Danny? Who did this? But Charlie, Donna, Harvey, Wendi, all had no curiosity, no interest. When someone extinguishes a life, even if you aren't in good graces with them or have a good relationship with them, it's still bizarre. It's not like many people lose other people to murder. It's an unusual event. And to have no interest in solving this mystery screams to me is because they already know the answer. It's not a mystery to them. Because it's look in the mirror. They're the ones who did it. They weren't surprised by it. And same thing with Wendi at the crime scene. She loves to dance around the edge, show her hand just a little bit, and then deny it. So by going by the crime scene, it makes her look pretty guilty. But you've seen her up on the stand say, I'm never going to be indicted for this crime. Never going to be tried, never going to be arrested. Meaning, and she says it with a big grin, otherwise known as a crap-eating grin. I'll never be arrested in this case. I'll never be indicted in this case. Forget it. I'm too good. I'm too smart. You can't prove it. She loves that. So her not asking about her children really reveals what kind of mother she is. Not interested. It's always about her. How am I going to tell them? Not how are they going to take it? How are they going to move on? How are they going to sleep at night? And isn't it funny? I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. Isn't it interesting that Wendi is the only one when it comes to her boys? She takes all the advice of the police officer, the detective Isom takes all of his advice about canceling appointments, about what she tells other people. But when it comes to her own sons, when he says, don't worry about them, they're not in any danger, She interprets that to mean they're in huge danger and I need to change their names immediately. Come on. Or was that about removing every trace of Dan Markel from the boys' lives and totally demolishing his legacy? I think we all know the answer to that. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, right here again. Have a great night, everybody.